Thank you very much, Sandra. You can imagine how wide is the subject, how challenged it was to prepare the inception report on this, and how challenged will be to summarize in 5 minutes. But I can say that together with our consortium partner that are MSc Crete, Meta Wien, University of Western Finland, and the TU Delft, we have managed to answer to the thermoreference. Basically, the first slide is about the big picture. We have summarized this in two main tasks that are the producing based on data availability that will be analyzed at territorial level, evidence and knowledge at regional level about challenges and achievements in the development of quality of life in European regions and cities. And for this, we think to go, according to the available data, to a level of NATS3 representation of a synthetic indicator of quality of life. And maybe most important for localizing really at the city level all the issue, guidance for local, regional, and national level policymakers to promote the integration of quality of life in the development and implementation of territorial strategies. So it's an issue of developing quality of life measurement methodology, but in the context of a methodology that shall be used for driving, integrating this into quality of life and cohesion policies in the future. So this is the scope of our analysis. In that figure on the side, we have two dimensions: modernizing the official statistical system for having any source, even more modern source, big data, or this kind of things for producing indicators at territorial level, and localizing all these until some tests and some case studies that go to the quality, to the even law and sub-law for metropolitan areas level. And quality of life is seen as a well-being dimensions, objective and subjective, of people in the context of all the indicators that we are using for measuring progress beyond GDP. So there is also this relation to be considered. And in the end, the diagonal arrow is our approach to creating a citizen-centric measurement and policy cycle strategy for realizing quality of life in the territories. The innovative outcomes are basically this idea of developing and testing based on case studies, at least based on information available. Our work is methodological, and we need to create robust methodologies because, of course, the work of measuring concretely the quality of life all over the world, all over Europe, is an enormous work. But we want to create methodology that are tested and credible enough for the official statistical system, other actors to consider for implementation in the future. And so we developed the idea and conceptual report of a framework for measuring quality of life and implementing citizen-centric quality of life development strategy in the European territories. And it is described with an example in the conceptual report. This idea of the synthetic quality of life index at NATS3 level to be shown on a beautiful ESPON map, I would say. And design an application of a factfulness test to assess the perception of these trends, because we addressed in our project also the approach of having a test about the perception of factual data, because the perception can be, of the people, very far from the reality of this data. So we need to recognize this and to put a kind of interface between our work and the work of producing the statistics about how to communicate and how to see how they are received by the users, how they are perceived by the users. And we will consider also these aspects in the framework. Finally, the last, I would say, innovative aspects on which we can have some, even in the question answer, if you are interested, more discussion, is that we want to develop this framework having the view of objective and subjective dimension of quality of life. In the objective dimension, there is a kind of supply-side approach, which is measuring through indicators the quality of living provided in the territories, quality of services, quality of condition of circumstances. This more or less is supply-side because are the governments that have to provide basically this kind of quality of life. But there is, and this is the new thing that is very correlated to the functional area concept that we are discussing today, a quality of life measuring from the demand side, from the side of the citizens, which is basically measuring the time, space, capability pattern of the people in the area. They don't matter where they are living in one municipality or the other, but they want to know how much time they can reach any service or anything that they need for their life. So for this reason, it's based on the capability approach and the time-space area. And we will combine the two and the factfulness test for having this check how they are received. Finally, for the subjective dimension, we think to organize the work in order to look at the satisfaction with the nature, society, and self-dimension, perception of the quality of life, your own aspiration, basically on indicators that can be traced over time. So this is basically the presentation. Thank you.
Okay.